Look like Caitlin Clark's civil rights has sparked a WNBA and NBA probe by the Trump administration.
According to recent reports, the civil rights case against Caitlin Clark has escalated into a full-fledged government investigation, placing the WNBA commissioner under official pressure. Yes, it recently became federal. The weird thing is that basketball is no longer the only topic. It has to do with power, politics, and who is actually running the league. Do you believe that politics is at play here, or that justice for Caitlin Clark is the goal of this investigation? Share your thoughts below. Alright, fasten your seatbelts, because this narrative is so complex that it appears to be as simple as an onion. In addition to Caitlin Clark and the WNBA executives, the Trump government and the Department of Justice are now interfering. Indeed, it is correct. This is much more than just sports.
Months ago that Trump and his administration was coming. I've been preaching on it. I didn't think it was going to hit the NBA first. I thought it was coming to the W first, simply because of Caitlin Clark, her civil rights being violated, and these damn referees.
According to reports, Caitlin Clark's treatment during the season has prompted a civil rights probe. From the referee calls to the way the league handled the fan unrest to the alleged hostile atmosphere. And you know what? The commissioner is being held accountable for it. As you are undoubtedly aware if you have been watching our channel, we have been covering the Caitlin Clark story since the beginning. They minimized the harsh play first. They then disregarded the fans' pleas for safety. Then, as videos of Clark being severely fouled went viral every week, they acted as if nothing was wrong. And now, months later, the Justice Department is investigating the matter. Because it seems that when a league doesn't defend its largest star and produces an atmosphere that appears prejudiced, someone in Washington notices. This was initially alluded to months ago in the Wall Street Journal. They bluntly stated, if the league won't protect its superstars from a hostile environment, the government should. That statement matured like a good wine, because that's precisely what's taking place right now. This is where things start to go crazy. According to sources, the Trump administration was interested in this civil rights perspective. They had already begun investigating NBA sports gambling problems when someone suddenly brought up the Caitlin Clark case and how unfair treatment would fall under a civil rights assessment. This cannot be made up.
Now, Stephen A. Smith has been someone, too, that has been vocal, has been an advocate about this probe happening. Now, I am here to tell you.
Even back in August, Stephen A. Smith said that Trump supporters were keeping a careful eye on the WNBA. He wasn't speculating. He stated unequivocally that a senator was already discussing this behind closed doors. And now, all of a sudden, it's on television.
You know what world that I live in terms of politics? How many times, for one incident after another, have I said, Trump is coming. He's coming. We'll say it on national television again.
Let's now discuss the reason behind the commissioner's roasting. Straightforward failure in leadership. What was the league doing as Caitlin Clark was being thrashed on the court, tweeting about women's empowerment while acting as though nothing was wrong? Fans didn't believe it. Even impartial onlookers began labeling the league anti-Clark. In some ways, she was the most targeted player in WNBA history, as well as its biggest draw. The referees ignored the obvious contact. In interviews, the players made fun of her, but the league said nothing.
I had to talk about a story that's very, very important. And albeit indirectly, it involves Caitlin Clark, the Department of Justice, and quite possibly the President of the United States himself. Somebody got to say it, so I'm going to say it. But the one thing I will not do is take credit for this. I am looking at the Wall Street Journal. The author of the article is a guy by the name of Sean McLean.
This is where the civil rights component enters the picture because, according to federal law, it can be problematic if a league exhibits bias or does not implement its own rules equitably, particularly when race and public opinion are involved. It's won now. It's made considerably more complicated by the Trump administration's involvement. They consider Caitlin Clark to be America's sweetheart and a representation of merit and hard effort. They will therefore take advantage of her if they think she is being abused. Everyone was cautioned by Stephen A. The WNBA is going to regret it if that base decides to take up this topic. All of the talking heads, from Fox to ESPN, are now joining in. Some refer to it as accountability. Some refer to it as political meddling. In any case, the commissioner is in trouble because you can't be the league's leader and appear incompetent at the same time.
Instead of protecting its transformative star, the league's leadership ignores the relentless targeting of Ms. Clark, treating its greatest asset as if she were a PR headache. That approach could turn into a legal liability for the WNBA.
Let's face it, preventing this wasn't difficult. They only needed to ensure that the referees' calls were reliable and that their own players weren't making shady remarks on social media. However, they behaved as though Clark's fame posed a danger rather than an advantage. The feds are currently investigating why league executives disregarded complaints. It's never a nice appearance. The WNBA commissioner is receiving criticism from all sides now that the headlines have been released. It is being covered by Fox, ESPN, The Blaze, and even political podcasts. While some refer to it as a reckoning, others simply call it karma. It's horrible either way. You have journalists researching and senators asking questions, examining previous referee reports, with social media detectives obtaining every video in which Caitlin Clark was hit, shoved, or elbowed without a call. The hits that changed the league is a highlight reel available on X, previously Twitter. The commissioner is over here discussing promoting diversity and equality, and there are millions of views. Excellent speech, however the time was off. Instead of hashtags, people want answers. She is being flatly ridiculed by fans. A comment said, "How do you run a league that lets its most marketable player get bullied on live TV?" Someone else added, "If this happened to LeBron or Curry, heads would have rolled already." That one is difficult to dispute. Even previous athletes are speaking out. Some people are protecting the league with the statement, "It's part of the game." Some are simply expressing what everyone is thinking. She was treated differently by the referees. And when enough insiders begin to voice their agreement, it becomes a serious issue since the Trump administration and the DOJ are now both interested. You can tell it's serious when those two names appear in the same sentence as your league. This is the part that no one wants to acknowledge. There was no need for this to occur. This might have been resolved amicably by the WNBA months ago. A few disciplinary actions, some reference accountability, and an explicit declaration that every player will receive the same level of protection. Completed. Rather, they acted as though it was a media drama. Reporters are now questioning if the WNBA broke its own anti-discrimination code, and attorneys are referring to it as a civil rights investigation. You can attribute that to hubris. As you can see, the league believed Caitlin Clark's fame would fade like a social media fad. They were unaware that she was the fad. They misjudged the level of public interest in her. Even worse, many viewed her achievement as a danger rather than a chance. Here we are, then. According to reports, the commissioner's office is being investigated internally for the way it responded to Clark's grievances over biased officiating. The article in the Wall Street Journal regarding the antagonistic. The environment serves as proof. We are requesting memos and emails. Additionally, one source claims that they are in a panic. This morning, even Stephen A. Smith, who has been alerting the league for months, stated that this is just the beginning. He claimed that ever since Caitlin Clark became a political talking issue, the Trump administration has been keeping an eye on the WNBA. Indeed, he is most likely correct since, let's face it, politics and sports are intertwined. They do. The White House steps in as soon as they notice popular outcry. Trump supporters are aware of Clark's popularity. They are aware that she speaks for a sizable fan following that feels overlooked. You believe they will pass up that opportunity? No way. Let's now discuss how this seems for the WNBA. The optics are poor. A league that always advocates for equality, empowerment, and fairness is now charged with doing the exact opposite, allowing referees to play favorites, ignoring bias, and neglecting to defend the one player who increased their ratings by 400%. As of right now, the commissioner has issued a brief press release with 2 paragraphs stating that they promote transparency and welcome any oversight. Translation: they're frantically trying to figure out what's going to happen next. Subpoenas, testimonies, coaches being questioned about league directives, and referees being questioned about how they make decisions. There will be a lot of mess. And any progressive image the WNBA has been attempting to project will be destroyed when the reality is revealed, if even a small portion of the rumors are accurate. Do you know who prevails in the situation? Clark, Caitlin. Because she will leave as the representation of justice after this is all finished. The athlete who challenged prejudice. Every company will be interested in signing her. Every business will want to use her in their advertisements. The commissioner will be fortunate to remain employed in the interim. Let's now discuss the civil rights aspect of this. When people hear that statement, they often assume it's just legalese, but it's not in this instance. A player may be subject to a civil rights review if they are subjected to unjust treatment because of bias, whether it be racial, gender, or fan-driven. Game winners are not the responsibility of the government. Its purpose is to ensure that institutions apply the rules equitably. And it's enough to raise concerns when millions of fans can witness firsthand that Clark was thrashed on plays that received no whistle. A league cannot boast about equality while tolerating blatant bias. It is hypocritical, fully visible. The most absurd thing is that the same individuals who claimed a few months ago that fans were overreacting are now frantically stating that they were in favor of the probe. When Washington gets involved, things change quickly. This is just going to get louder, let's face it. The Trump administration is entering a controversy about women's sports that will take up most of the news for weeks. Every podcast, sports panel, and news program discusses the WNBA and Caitlin Clark. In all honesty, it may be the league's most prominent spotlight yet. Unfortunately, it's for the wrong reasons. But because this is almost comical, let's be snarky for a moment. The same WNBA that pretended for months that they didn't require Clark's notoriety is now pleading with her to maintain her optimism while federal attorneys question the league. She's your superstar now, huh? She is now respected. Please. When the referees were swallowing their whistles every time she was clobbered, where was all that energy? When players were disparaging her media privilege rather than merely attempting to, the league is now pretending to be her teammate. Huh? It's too late. The harm has been done. The cherry on top is shown here. Sponsors are watching intently. Companies like Nike, Gatorade, and State Farm invested millions of dollars in the WNBA brand. They dislike that their product is linked to a civil rights probe. Therefore, everyone but Caitlin Clark is negatively impacted by this. And fasten your seatbelts, because this will quickly turn from a sports dispute into a political conflagration if Trump personally speaks out on it, which Stephen A. believes is quite likely. Caitlin Clark will be up against the system. And you are aware of the public's preference. Players who made fun of her or minimized her influence, however, have since stopped talking. All of a sudden, everyone is focused on harmony and equitable treatment. You are able to smell the PR crisis from a great distance. Not to mention that the NBA is also watching. Because executive terminations will occur more quickly than you can say federal oversight if this investigation spreads to the NBA's gambling probe. This is a warning, not a coincidence, as Stephen A. stated. Press conferences are rarely held by the FBI unless they're extremely important. And they did, indicating that there will be more. Therefore, the commissioner is free to say whatever she likes, but the public opinion court has already made a decision. She didn't succeed. The supporters are aware of it. The media is aware of it. It seems that the federal government is now aware of it as well. And as all of this mayhem plays out, Caitlin Clark is going to become more wealthy, well-known, and influential than before. Because she is now the focus of every article, argument, and political soundbite. She is no longer merely a player. She is a representation. Symbols, too, never fade. Thus, the WNBA commissioner is being criticized, the civil rights investigation is intensifying, and Caitlin Clark has emerged as the most influential figure in women's sports. One thing is certain. The truth is emerging, regardless of whether this results in reform or a complete breakdown. Leave your comments below. Click like and subscribe to receive more uncensored updates.